after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of Moving the Goalposts. I'm here with Liam.
How you doing?
I'm sorry, that was a kind of a bad intro.
That's all right.
So we just got to get all this out of the way. You can follow us on at MTGP ETB on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, and TikTok. And you can follow the Empty the Bench Network on social media at ETB Network. You can follow us on youtube.com/ETB Network or at etbpodcast.com where you get all your podcasts. You can listen to us where you get all your favorite podcasts. All right. I think that's everything. So we have to get into a lot of the biggest story right now, which is Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel with another feud, worse than a feud, could be a legal feud. In case you've been living underneath a rock, Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show and sort of suggested that Jimmy Kimmel doesn't want the Epstein list to get out because, supposedly implying that Jimmy Kimmel is on the list.
Yeah, so the exact thing that he said was AJ Hawk asked him, they were talking about the Super Bowl logos. I don't know if you saw that, but there's like a conspiracy that the Super Bowl logos have the colors of the teams that are in it every year. So they were talking about that, and then AJ Hawk said, does this relate to Epstein's client list? And then Aaron Rodgers said that it's coming out soon, and there's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, who don't want it to come out. So then Jimmy Kimmel responded and was like, "Hey, asshole," but he spelled it AA, like Aaron, like Aaron, which was pretty funny. And he was like, basically saying he's never seen him, and he was like, he's never seen Epstein, and he was like, if you want to continue talk, if you don't cut it out, we can talk like about it face to face in court. I don't know. This was, I think you're the same way. I've normally like defended a lot, not defended, but like I've been fine with a lot of the way Rodgers has talked, like, but this one is much different. I mean, most of the stuff that he's said, whether it has to do with vaccines or whatever it is, doesn't hurt other people. This one could be very harmful to somebody else, and is probably the definition of slander if it was going to go into the courts.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very. I mean, I don't know if there would be any. If right now, like the thing is, if Rodgers just walks it back, apologizes and publicly apologizes and says, "Sorry, I was joking. I didn't mean that," then he probably wouldn't get sued. It wouldn't be like the thing would probably be over. But I mean, it is clearly slander, and it just completely baseless. I mean, to go on national TV and suggest that somebody is a pedophile is a pretty wild move to make. I mean, I think he may have just been talking shit, but that is a crazy thing to say. That's just a wild allegation to make, and without really any evidence.
Yeah, without evidence, it's past like talking shit. Like McAfee did apologize, said like, I think he was just talking shit. But that's like you said, like accusing someone of that is past talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel made jokes about Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers might be trying to throw Barr back, but that's way different than making a joke. And it wasn't like laughter or anything. Like he was being serious about it. But I do think that it's past Aaron Rodgers to apologize. Aaron Rodgers never really like apologizes for everything. Even though I like Rodgers, he always thinks he's like the smartest person in the room, definitely. And even when he did the like immunized thing, like he never has really like apologized for anything ever.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't care if you don't apologize about things in general. I'm not one to demand other people apologize, but in this case, he really should apologize because
Well, it should do it for himself, not even for other people demanding. It's probably a better idea for his own self to apologize.
And for Pat McAfee too, because Pat McAfee's brought up is inevitably caught up in this storm, and he's paying him like $1 million or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's paid Aaron Rodgers $1 million to come onto his show every week, but also like ESPN is owned by Disney and so is ABC, and Jimmy Kimmel's averaging 3 million viewers a night. He's hosting the Oscars for ABC. He's there now. Obviously, late night is not what it was back with Johnny Carson and Jay Leno and stuff like that, but he's their primary late night host. He does a lot of other things for ABC. He's more important to Disney than McAfee is. And he's going on 20 years of his show. You could argue that the two most important people at Disney are, in terms of on-air talent, are Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
So the thing, like, if Jimmy Kimmel really got pissed off at McAfee show, not that he could get him off air, but he could really stir the pot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a really, I mean, like Aaron Rodgers, but the weird thing though is that like Aaron Rodgers is also really good at talking shit. Like you think that like he could like bring up Jimmy Kimmel in a way, or like like in a way that he can talk shit to Jimmy Kimmel without it getting to the point where he might get sued.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, and the thing that would annoy me if I was Disney too is like it was such a baseless claim. Like if there were some claims that Kimmel had been on the client list, and obviously it was a whole different issue, but it didn't even need to happen because he wasn't even on the client list. So
yeah, I've never heard anybody say Jimmy Kimmel had anything to do with Epstein.
Right. And say that people believe Rodgers, like it could also hurt like Jimmy Kimmel's ratings or stuff, even if by a little bit, even though it's not true.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you wouldn't be able to prove that in court. But it would, but still, I mean, it still is slander and can't end well. I don't know if there were any actual damages that this caused. But I mean, it still is a reckless and crazy thing to say. It was just like, I don't, I mean, to make a claim like that on national TV is like,
yeah,
it just seems like a little bit like a professional athlete thing where, you know, professional athletes are very often coddled for a long time and they think they can get away with anything. Right. This is what it seems like. And him not coming out and apologizing, like you have to, like his agents must be telling him like, okay, come out and apologize and retract the statement.
Yeah.
And he hasn't said anything. He seems to have just said no.
And 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 I was surprised the Jets didn't make any statement either. I thought that the Jets might have said something, but
they didn't because Aaron Rodgers runs so much.
He runs the team, yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, I'm fine with the Jets not saying anything. They don't need to be involved with Aaron Rodgers on a personal level like this. But like, why Aaron Rodgers? How long has it been? 48 hours.
Yeah.
So in 48 hours, he didn't come out with any sort of like retraction or apology.
He won't. I don't think he will at all because he just isn't that person.
I mean, sometimes apologizing is the smart thing to do.
Correct.
Like you're not bending the knee or anything.
If you were wrong, you should
apologize. A statement and then say sorry.
Well, and if you were wrong, you should apologize. And Aaron Rodgers was wrong. I think even Pat McAfee, who's probably one of his best friends, is admitting that Rodgers was wrong.
Yeah. It was obviously a baseless claim. No, like I said, I've never even heard of rumors of Jimmy Kimmel having ties to Epstein.
Right.
He just doesn't like Kimmel, which is fine. But
I mean, and that's the other thing that has annoyed me about this situation is like such an issue in this country is that everybody just like now in this country, no matter the issue, everybody just toes like whatever political line they're on. So, like, if you see a lot of conservatives were like saying that it was okay or whatever that Aaron Rodgers did that, and a lot of liberal people were going out because Jimmy Kimmel is much more left leaning. But that's like stupid. Like, it doesn't matter what the politics of the person are. This was like an out. It seems that now the list might come out and Jimmy Kimmel's name might be on it, but it doesn't seem like that at all. And so it seems like this was just an out and out lie or bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people on Epstein's list seem to be like older people, like people who are powerful long before,
who are a lot richer than Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, like way before Jimmy Kimmel was really all that famous.
Right.
Like it doesn't even seem like he would be like a typical suspect, which is what makes it so strange. But I mean, like being Aaron Rodgers' agent has to be a really difficult job right now. I mean, because there's no way his agent didn't tell him, come out and like apologize. Pat McAfee probably asked him, "Would you apologize?"
Yeah, I mean,
and
you have to be annoyed if you're the agent too, because stuff like this could also mess up, opportunities that you might have after football, whether it be television or media, stuff like that.
Although, I mean, Rodgers probably doesn't care that much about that.
He doesn't, but his agent would. But
but I mean, like the point is, like, look, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I don't know. Like, sometimes you have to not be stubborn and say, okay,
yeah, of course,
and just admit you were wrong. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to have that, based on this. Doesn't seem to be doing that.
And I will say that Aaron Rodgers is also very good at keeping the attention on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Nothing wrong with it, but even he hasn't played a down, or he's played 4 downs this season, and the attention has been on him more than anything. I've heard Aaron Rodgers talk much more than I've heard Zach Wilson talk this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not, just like a lot of professional athletes, he's in the news for things other than his play, on the field play.
Right.
I mean, that would likely be the case anyway. And yeah, he clearly wants the attention to be on him. Like I said, nothing wrong with that. I don't take issue with him seeking attention. He's a public figure. The only thing I take issue with is slander.
Correct.
And slander that it can really harm somebody else. I mean, the good news is I don't think anybody actually believes him. I don't think a whole lot of people were watching that and were like, wow,
right.
Rodgers is right. But I mean, Jimmy Kimmel has to come out with a statement strongly refuting that.
Yeah, that was the thing is
like I can't get mad at Kimmel for overreacting or anything
at all. People were like, oh, there was somebody who was like, oh, there were a lot of people saying, oh, you're giving like all these trolls fuel because they want you to respond. Complete disagree. If you're not on the list, which it seems that he's really not, you have to come out, because
especially like something as big as that. Like if one of us, some no-name podcasters, said that, it wouldn't really matter. Like he wouldn't respond or whatever. But this has millions and millions of views.
Correct.
And this is seen multiple times. So with an allegation like that, you have to respond to
it. I thought it was the absolutely the right move by Kimmel to respond and say that, and which was, it seems, the truth, that he didn't even know, which is just crazy. Like, if he didn't even know him or anything like that, is like the fact, like, which I agree. I've never heard I've heard certainly there's a lot of pictures of people that have been linked, and Jimmy Kimmel hasn't been in any of those pictures. So I can't imagine that he was there. And so it is
even if
situation.
There were a picture of Jimmy Kimmel with Epstein.
Right.
Even if that were the case, that would still be a wild accusation to make. Because taking a picture with a famous person doesn't mean like you're involved with them personally in any way. Like, even then, that would be ridiculous.
Right.
But in this case, it was just like him trying to talk shit and get back at him in a way that was just so out of bounds. It's not like Jimmy Kimmel slandered him. He just made fun of him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he clearly has a fragile ego, Aaron Rodgers. And to be fair, most professional athletes, especially quarterbacks, probably do. You kind of have to have a bit of an ego to be a good athlete. I don't take issue with that at all, but you have to know how to like channel that. Like,
absolutely.
And like, look, I've defended Rodgers, I think, in every other controversy he's been in. including like on the field play when people talk about like criticizing Rodgers for only winning one Super Bowl. Every other criticism of Rodgers, I think, has often been like very silly. But this one, I just can't defend him on. Like, it is indefensible to make slanderous claims. And if it was a quarterback or a player that I didn't like, if Tom Brady had done this, I thought about it. Yeah, I would be like, this is just absurd. Just because he's my quarterback.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to defend him for that.
Yeah, I don't think
I would never defend anybody else for doing.
Yeah, I don't think that you're in the minority. I think that I don't think I've seen anybody really come out and defend.
Yeah, I haven't either.
He really doesn't have any, which he was being defended. Like you said, he's been defended on most stuff. But this, I don't see him having
Yeah,
any.
I mean, you could maybe find somebody who has very motivated reasoning.
Right.
But, if I try to think about things and take a position, I don't want motivated reasoning to be the reason. I want to take it out of that and say, okay, well, what if, somebody else, just because he's my quarterback, I'm not going to defend him for that. I mean, like, I don't want to go down that road. I don't think that is right. Okay, so I want to get into some of this NFL stuff, this other scandal, which now feels like ancient history, thanks to Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee. This whole thing with the refs and the Lions and the Cowboys, basically, this is a move that it's worse than the refs making a bad call. I feel like it is a mistake that the refs made that the Lions are paying for, because the Lions, Taylor Decker clearly reported to the ref as an eligible receiver, and and the refs messed it up, claiming number 70 reported as an eligible receiver. I don't know how you mess that up, but I mean, this is just so bad for the integrity of the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I don't. Apparently, that crew has been like demoted or something, but
No,
I don't know if it's
demoted. They're doing Saturday
really
night's
just
game.
an individual ref.
They haven't been demoted. They're doing Saturday night's game against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. It's ridiculous.
What were they taking off of them? Weren't they taking off of something?
No, they were kept. They were put on Saturday night's game. This is ridiculous. I think they might not do the playoffs, but they should be suspended immediately. It's unbelievable. So now, with that being said,
at least, to be fair, that individual ref, I don't know if the whole crew has anything to do with it, because that was a very individual thing.
But with that being said, though, first of all, after it happened, it was horrible what happened, and it was. Of course, the Cowboys got the benefit of a call. They get the benefit of almost every call. But it was horrible what happened. But he should not have gone for the second 2-point conversion from the 7. He should have just cut his losses and kicked the extra point. You've got Dallas on the ropes. Yes, you should have beat them, but you've got them on the ropes. You've got them on the ropes.
I spilled coffee.
You've got them on the ropes. You've got them nervous at home. You just tied. First of all, I don't agree with going for the 2 in the first place, because you're not a big underdog team. You just got a big touchdown to get momentum back. I don't agree with going for it in the first place. They did get it, but then a bad call. He should not have gone from the 7.
Yeah, you kick the extra point. Take it to overtime.
One of the longest 2-point conversions all year, and it was unnecessary. But it's one of the biggest calls. Yes, the Cowboys won the game. It's one of the biggest calls in the NFL this season. If the right person is reported as eligible, Detroit will be in the 2 seed right now. Eagles would be in the 3. Cowboys would be in the 5. Instead, it's Cowboys 2, Detroit 3, Eagles 5. Detroit loses a home game. Dallas gains 2 because they wouldn't win the division. So that was maybe one of the biggest calls of the entire season.
Yeah, and it was, and like, it's not even just that they lost the game, which would have been bad enough. This is the whole season. I mean, they're still a playoff team,
and the Cowboys are the Cowboy. It's big because the Cowboys are unequivocally a better team at home than they were on the road. So now, instead of going on the road, they're going to get 2 home games.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's just, it's as bad as it gets. It's as bad for the integrity of the NFL as it gets. It's kind of like, I mean, the NFL doesn't have a reputation for like bad officiating, or I wouldn't say bad officiating, corrupt officiating like the NBA does. There hasn't been like an NFL version of Tim Donaghy or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also a bad look for the NFL, and I think that like the NFL sent a video out to the officiator, to the refs, about like what to do when a receiver, somebody reports as an eligible receiver, which seems like a very simple thing. It's we're reporting number 68, right? That's all it is.
It's a bad look for the NFL as well because the story of the season has been bad officiating.
Yeah.
And then it's just continued and continued. This is, I mean, it's recency bias, of course, but I don't think I've seen reffing like this. Maybe outside of like when the replacement refs were there, but those weren't real referees, so it is what it is. But the reffing has been god awful this year. I mean, god awful.
Yeah.
And also, Troy Aikman pointed this out. This doesn't have to do with what happened on play, but Troy Aikman pointed this out. If you're watching a game on TV, you can make the call in 2 seconds on the replay. Why are we going to 10, 15-minute reviews on plays? It's insane. They're reviewing it, and the announcers and the guy, whether it's Dean Blandino or Terry McCauley, whoever it is, they make the call in 2 seconds. We're going to a 10-minute review. It's ridiculous. It slows the game down. It's horrible.
Yeah, well, sometimes they're able to do it quickly.
But mostly it's like 10-minute reviews.
Yeah, and the problem is it's also like, I mean, obviously you can't review something like this because you can't.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like maybe they'll change the rule or something where you can review the video. I don't know if there would be a way to hear what they were saying, but like we all saw on the video that that Taylor Decker reported or like went up to the ref right before the play, presumably to report himself as an eligible receiver, and apparently, according to Dan Campbell, discussed this play with the refs before the game.
He did.
So, and by the way, given that they practice this play, I'm sure so many times, the first thing you do is report as an eligible receiver. I just would find it so hard to believe that they would mess that up. Like,
the guy did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't understand that.
It was
I also don't fully understand the ins and outs of what it looks like. I mean, I've never obviously played in the NFL, so I don't know exactly how it works. But if they say 68 is reporting as an eligible receiver, the ref reports, right? Like, doesn't he say who's reporting?
Yes, he says it out loud. Yeah, of course.
He says it out loud. So what happened? Because they were right there. Did he say 68 is reporting as an eligible receiver? Did the ref say 70 has reported as an eligible receiver?
70.
That's what I'm saying. Did he say
the wrong number?
But like, wouldn't somebody have caught that?
I don't know. It was bungled. It was bad officiating. And let move on from that because the Cowboys are now going to win the division, and the Cowboys deserve to win the division because what happened on Sunday was as close to a fire everybody game as you can get for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a disgraceful loss for the Eagles. A team came in there with 8 less wins than them. They're only the 4th team in NFL history to lose a home game to a team with 8 less wins than them. A game you need for the division. You're playing Arizona at 10 o'clock in the morning or at 11 o'clock in the morning, Arizona time, at home. Better conditions for you. You have a lead for almost all the game, and you lose the game.
Yeah, that's disgraceful.
Horrible. That is a horrible loss for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was as bad as it gets with the Seahawks. When they lost to the Seahawks, this is like a million times worse.
It's a playoff team.
Because at least when they lost to the Seahawks, my attitude was like, okay, if you listen, like I think it was a few episodes ago where I said, okay, if they lost to the Seahawks, okay, they don't look as good of a team right now, but they're almost certainly going to win the division, right? I mean, the next 2 games are against the Cardinals and the Giants, and those are just easy wins. Right now, the Eagles, I don't think there are a lot of teams that could be easy wins for the Eagles. Maybe the Chargers, maybe some really bad teams, but the Eagles, like right now, they look like a mediocre team at best. Right now, they just have a bunch of wins. But I haven't seen any team regress this season like the Eagles have.
Yeah, I mean, when we when we looked at when we talked about the Eagles losing to the Seahawks, I said they're going to win the division because they've got the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants. They got really close to losing to the Giants. They lost to the Cardinals. 1st and 20 with the game tied in field goal range. The Eagles had 1st and 20, and they ran a quarterback run, called a timeout, and then threw a bubble screen. I mean, that is horrible.
Yeah.
That is horrific. And Sirianni is being exposed. He is not good. He is not that good.
I think that a lot of this success had a lot to do with their coordinators.
Yeah.
And
Shane Steichen's going to make the playoffs.
I'm under the impression that, like, everybody has figured them out. I feel like their offense has become very, like, sort of redundant. And
it's not even the offense. It's fault. The defense is horrible.
That's that too. I think it's both.
They made no. I mean, again, like, but I just don't think that Sirianni is a good coach. If you remember when they had that lead, the Kansas City Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns where in the Super Bowl where the guy was open. The nearest defender was in Tucson. So they didn't make any adjustments. I just don't think that Sirianni makes any adjustments. He's not that good. And this is an unbelievably bad loss.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Eagles right now are missing Doug Peterson.
They're missing a lot. They're missing Shane Steichen went, and then Jonathan Gannon beat them on Sunday, who was a coordinator in Philly as well. I mean, it's not.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think a lot of their success could be chalked up to their coordinators.
Yeah, they've fallen apart, and
they're just a total disgrace.
Now, I will say, losing the NFC East might actually give you an easier playoff matchup in the first round, but still.
But based on how they're playing, I don't know how many playoff teams they'd even be favored against.
Well, they'll probably be favored against Tampa, but still.
Yeah, that's true, because that division's terrible.
Yeah.
Or the Saints, or whoever coming out of that division.
Either Tampa or the Saints. And then the Cowboys will play either the Rams or the Packers.
Well, that's true. They would be favored against the Packers.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, but I don't know. There's a lot of weak teams coming out of the NFC this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, with the Eagles right now, it's both. It's the fact. I mean, I said last year that the Bills were like the Mets of the NFL, but this year I think the Eagles are more like the Mets of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
I mean, they have
the Dolphins kind of too, but yeah.
No, I think that the Eagles are much more like the Mets, because don't forget the Mets last season in 2022 were in first place for the longest time. And then they just went into this slump that never ended. That's what it looks like right now for the Eagles. Like towards the end of the season, become like regressing to like a mediocre team.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like right now for the Eagles.
Not good.
Because it seemed like it was all like, all right, this is bad, but they're going to come back.
Yeah.
And
they fell apart.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of all this. Okay, so obviously all the college football stuff going on. Okay. So Alabama, Michigan, that was an amazing game. I thought for a while that Alabama was going to win. It really looked like it. Alabama, I feel like whoever won this game would have gone on to win the national championship.
Yeah.
I mean, these two teams looked far superior. I was kind of right when I said you would get something a lot closer to the Alabama team that beat Georgia than the one that almost lost to Auburn. That is the team we got.
Nah, I mean, Michigan's special teams cost them so many times.
I know, but they still. I don't disagree, but they still were able to take it to overtime. I mean, to be fair, Alabama's messed up too a lot.
Alabama, yeah. So it certainly looked like Alabama was going to win the game. I said this in the recap when I did the recap on Twitter. Michigan proved why they were the best team in the country, because they had a horrible game. This I think was the worst game they played all season.
The Iowa game might have been worse.
No, their special teams was horrible. Their coaching I didn't think was good. I thought he coached very conservative. And J.J. McCarthy did not have a good game up until the last drive. And they found a way to win the game. They made a million mistakes. What the kid was doing when he fumbled on the very end of the game, he fumbled the punt, which they had a million miscues on special teams, and then he tried to pick it up and run with it, which is the worst thing you can do when you fumble the punt. You have to fall on the ball, and they really got lucky because they could have taken a safety to lose that game as well.
Very easy. Very easily with Alabama's pass rush.
Now, I want to address something also. I said that it was a bad play call by Alabama on the last play. I apologize for that because it was not the bad play call. It was a run-pass option, and Jalen Milroe just lost his mind. It was a run-pass option where they had a guy open that he should have thrown to on the right side, and he decided to just sneak it in.
Yeah.
But Alabama also had 2 timeouts to get that play ready because Michigan called the timeout and Alabama called the timeout. But it was great resolve by Michigan to win the game, and they're the best team in the country. I think they're going to smack Washington around as we'll get into the other game. But yeah, it was. I certainly I don't know. I would have rather seen Florida State with Jordan Travis in the game, but or I might have rather seen Georgia as well. But
I don't think Georgia would have been as good against Michigan.
Yeah, we'll never know. But it looked like Alabama was going to win for the longest time, and J.J. McCarthy again. Like this is why Michigan is the best team because J.J. McCarthy didn't have a good game, but then he put together a drive when he had to tie the game.
Yeah,
and the Michigan defense stood up when they had to, and Blake Corum got a gigantic run when he had to.
Yeah, so they did. Yeah, Michigan did everything that they needed to do basically to win the game.
Yeah,
I mean, look, you're right. They totally proved why they were the best team in the country. I mean, I didn't feel that way throughout the whole. I didn't feel like they had a bad game outside of special teams throughout the whole game, but they really seemed to be coming apart in every possible way in the third quarter.
They feel like to me, like it's similar with like the San Francisco 49ers, where like they could put in a C+ effort, which this was about a C+ effort, and win a game. Yeah. Not most teams can put in a C+ effort and win a playoff game.
Yeah. Yeah. But like not to mention, by the way, not to mention the missed field goal, which
extra point.
And the missed extra point. If they had made that extra point, they would have been ahead by, that's 4 points right there. Not to mention the muffed punts.
I mean, the missed field goal was like a 50-something yarder, but
that was a tough one. But
the missed field goal was bad because Michigan got the ball off a fumble at midfield and had to settle for a 50-something yard field goal.
Right, exactly. So what were they doing?
Right. So there was, but they muffed punts. They muffed 2 punts at least. They were all over the place on special teams.
Yeah, I mean that could have been like we were maybe a couple of inches away from like the worst loss in college football history.
And Michigan already have the worst loss in college football history when all they had to do was punt the ball out of bounds and they fumbled the punt and then threw it right to the guy in Michigan State.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the worst loss in college football history. So. Yeah, we were there, and it was feeling most of the game like the narrative was going to start to be Harbaugh can't win a big playoff game because he would have lost 3 in a row. That's what was starting to feel like for most of the game, and then they put it together when they had to.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember that. That was 8 years ago now. And because of that, Ohio State killed Ohio State.
Well, yeah, Michigan State got into the playoffs.
Yeah, which. Unfortunately, they did because Michigan State couldn't really compete with Alabama that year. Yeah, so that was just and obviously we also have to get into Washington, Texas. Okay, so you said that game was much more of a foregone conclusion. I guess you were technically right, but in the wrong direction.
Well, no, well, you talk about we were inches away. If Washington loses that game, that's the worst loss in college football history. Because Washington had the game wrapped up and they had a bad fumble. They were up 9 with a minute left or something, and then the kid gets injured. Oh, they would have ran the clock out.
Yeah.
And then their star running back gets injured. And then they punt the ball to Texas, and the center, I don't know what he was thinking, or the long snapper, I don't know what he was thinking, what he was doing, just slammed into the guy after a fair catch, which was a 15-yard penalty.
The stupidest thing you can do.
It was the stupidest thing you could do. And then then you have to give credit to the play, because what a play it was defensively on that last play to knock the ball out. It was a one-on-one jump ball in the end zone, and the kid knocks it away. Great win for Washington. Washington, again, I think they're going to get smacked around by Michigan, but I have to say about Washington, people said they were going to lose to Oregon. They said they were going to lose to Oregon State. They said they were going to lose to Oregon again. They said they were going to get beat by Texas. They've proven people wrong time after time again, time and time again. So you have to give Washington credit, and Michael Penix was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously Michael Penix is probably the best quarterback in the country. The thing with Washington is that they're able to win games when it's close. Although they've had a lot of really unimpressive wins, but every single time I doubt Washington in some way, they end up winning.
Right, and we're actually going to get a non-SEC final.
So everybody who whines about the SEC being overrepresented, can be happy now. It's
an all Big Ten final. 2 Big Ten teams.
Well, Big Ten Pac-12, basically a Rose Bowl.
Washington will be in the Big Ten next year.
No, but right now they're still in the Pac-12.
Yeah, true.
It's not a Big Ten team yet.
And then how about that? How about that loser fan at the end, the Texas fan?
Wait, so what happened with that? So there was a Texas. I saw like some type of conversing between players.
Yeah, like they were like yelling. Maybe we can get the video in here. We do the podcast, but they were like the something must have been yelling from the fans, and then the Washington fans were like, or the Washington players were like, "We run the South 2-0, 2-0," and we're like doing the horns down. And then as they were walking away, this guy, who if you watch the video is like 45, and he's got his 2 kids with him who can't be older than 10, and he's just yelling at them. First, like when they're yelling, he's like motioning them, like saying, "Come here." And then as they're walking away, he's like, "Remember me, motherfuckers, remember me," which is like maybe one of the biggest loser things I've ever seen, with like a 45-year-old man yelling in front of his 2 10-year-old kids, at 19 and 20-year-old kids, to come fight him. First of all, it's embarrassing to do. Second of all, if they actually did come fight him, I would put all my money on the 20-year-old football players wearing pads than the 45-year-old guy in the stands.
Yeah. I think that doing things like that in front of your own, first of all, there's a very good chance he was inebriated.
I'm sure, but still.
Challenging somebody to a fight in front of your own kids has to be one of the stupidest things you can do.
It has to be, and he was right at the end zone, so he must pay thousands of dollars for those tickets too. Like,
I mean, I will say, I don't take issue if the Washington players went up to them and did the horns down thing and were talking shit. I am not mad at the fans for responding to that and also talking shit to them. It's more the whole "come fight me" thing.
Well, it is. I do love how much Texas fans get upset about this gesture. Like
horns down.
Yeah, like that is very funny.
That is a bizarre.
It was banned by the Big. Remember, it was banned by the Big 12. It was a
penalty. Yeah, I remember, which is the weirdest. It's like I don't even understand what's so bad about it, other than it's. I don't know.
Yeah, Texas fans hates it. Texas fans hate it, but yeah, it was a great game. I would have felt I had a Texas Michigan parlay, so just money line. So even though I wanted Texas to win at the end, I would have felt horrible for Washington if they had lost that game in that fashion.
I mean, they had no business losing. Texas had no business winning that game.
No. So
I mean, not to mention the fact that they messed up so many times.
And now
like that fumble towards the end of the game, and
yeah, exactly. And now Texas is, and now Texas is going to go to Quinn Ewers and basically tell him we have someone else coming in. Time to go. So,
well, I don't know. Quinn Ewers didn't play that bad. Quinn Ewers didn't play that bad of a game.
But it doesn't have to do. It has to do with that Arch Manning is coming.
Yeah, well, supposedly, but how do we know Arch Manning is better?
I don't know. Somebody said on Twitter that it's going to be crazy when they find out that Arch Manning is Tate Martell with famous relatives.
I mean, he very well might be.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a great game. This was the best playoff we've ever had so far.
So far, yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely was.
Yeah.
There were no blowout games or anything like that. I mean, last year was also a pretty. Not in the championship game. The Final Four was great.
Yeah. No,
the Final Four was great. I mean, if you don't remember, Ohio State. I didn't watch the ball drop because Ohio State literally missed that field goal at the stroke of midnight.
Yeah.
That was that game definitely could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan's a really good team, but I am not going to say that Michigan's going to smack around Washington. I don't think that at all. So wait, let's just get into this. So, Michigan is favored by 4.5. I feel like this line might go up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
These are two very opposite teams. Washington, it doesn't have the best defense, and they're known for their offense. They have a really good quarterback. Michigan's quarterback play is not as good. They run the ball a lot more. They don't have a passing game quite like Washington does, and they have the best. And they would kill you at the line of scrimmage. They're essentially like opposite teams matching up against each other. I will say Michigan, I think one of the biggest reasons I would take Michigan is they can play a bad game like they did last week against a team like Alabama, and Alabama would probably have beaten Washington had they played head to head. And they were still able to win. So Washington played a very good game and won that game. Michigan didn't play a good game and had a whole bunch of mess ups on special teams and were still able to win, which is why I would take Michigan minus 4.5.
Yeah, I would take Michigan minus 4.5, and I'll also take the over. Like you said, Washington has a good passing offense. Michigan does have a good defense, but Washington's defense is not good. So especially their passing defense.
Yeah.
So I'll take the over. I'm going to play the over, but mainly.
I would take the over too. Although between now and the start of the game, it's probably going to go up. I think both. I think the spread's going to get bigger and the line is going to go up.
Yeah, I would take it probably till about 58. Then I would.
Something like that. I mean, you also have to remember in these games, a lot of things happen at the very end.
Right.
Where you just never know. And like I said, look, Michigan is a bit like this Michigan team, I think is the best team in college football right now. I think most people would agree with that. And most people likely would have agreed with that the whole season. But I also don't think this is a team that is quite like the 2019 LSU team or the 2020 Alabama team, which is just extremely dominant. I don't think they're a historically great team. I just think right now they're the best team.
Yeah, I agree. So I would take Michigan 4.5.
And honestly, my opinion of Washington has changed a little bit, especially after last game. Maybe it should have changed after they beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. Mm-hmm. I wonder how it's going to look like when they're a Big Ten team traveling to the Midwest constantly.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, like the point of conferences used to just be for like geographic reasons.
Yeah, it's so stupid now, but whatever.
It's all about money.
Of course.
It's all about the branding and the money that these teams are moving conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's worth it to them to have. I mean, to be fair, in the ACC, you have teams all the way up and down the coast, but at least there's no time zone issue.
Yeah, this is that. I don't like the conference realignment, but
nobody seems to like it.
No.
Although it's very predictable, given that the Pac-12 was just not a very profitable conference.
Right.
And I think part of it is, I think teams wanted it out of the Pac-12 because they wanted to get out of the whole West Coast thing. There's a bit of an East Coast bias because teams often don't, in the committee, they often don't watch teams on the West Coast. At least that's the perception. I think it's also true that teams west of the Mississippi tend to not be as good as teams east of the Mississippi.
Right.
There is a tendency there too. I mean, I will say the Pac-12 is these Pac-12 teams going to the Big Ten are going from the easiest weather conference to the hardest weather conference. That I mean, don't playing at Northwestern. Your toughest opponent at Northwestern or Washington or Nebraska or whoever is not the team; it's the weather. And these are teams that are just not used to it. I mean, USC playing in 10 feet of snow.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I think that's an underrated factor for these Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
That it would be certainly. It would certainly be an interesting thing to watch because the weather on the West Coast is just so mild compared to in the middle of the country.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and these are conditions I've never seen Pac-12 teams deal with.
No, it's going to be very interesting.
Like I just think that, and not to mention the time zone thing.
Yeah, that's another issue with
the time zone. Not as much as the weather, but the time zone thing. I mean,
the 9 a.m.
noon game, these Big Ten noon games, you're like 2 hours behind at least.
Yeah, 3 or 2 hours is crazy. They're going to be 9 a.m. games.
Yeah. So I don't know. It makes sense that they would do it. Because the whole TV thing. Okay, so I want to get into some NFL picks. I know we just did the NFL, so we're doing 3 of these games. Bills at Dolphins +2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I think the whole world is on the Bills. Everybody thinks the Bills are gonna win. I think the whole world is on the Bills, so I'm gonna take the Dolphins solely for that reason.
Oh, I disagree. I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills are. I think the Bills are a better team. I don't think the Dolphins are that good of a team against other good teams. Their only good win, I think, was against. First of all, I don't like the Dolphins' defense, but their only really good win was against the Cowboys, a Cowboys team that is oddly bad on the road. I think the Bills right now look like a better team.
Yeah, I agree, but it just seems too easy, that 2.5.
And also 2.5, that's a pick'em game.
It's a pick'em game, but that's what I'm saying. It just seems too easy. So I'm gonna take and I know that Josh Allen took a stinger last week, so I don't know if he's gonna be 100. He's gonna play obviously, but he's not. We'll see if he's 100% healthy. So.
I mean, look, if he's not 100% healthy, then I would change my mind. But assuming he's healthy,
yeah. But I just think it's too easy, so I'm gonna take the Dolphins.
Well, okay. But do you think the Bills? It also depends on whether or not the Bills will have enough motivation from terrorist groups.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that's a real factor too.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be the big factor. What he can bring up.
What terrorist attack he's going to bring up to really motivate the Bills. All right, so Eagles at Giants +5.
Yeah, this one seems easy, but I think this should be easy. The Eagles need the game. It doesn't matter because the Cowboys are going to walk the Commanders, so just forget about it. But Eagles need the game. 5 points. Giants, not great. And the Giants, I think, are actually worse at home sometimes. So I'll take.
There's a lot of that in the fan base, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does. The Eagles, I'll take the Eagles. The only thing that concerns about this game is that it's supposed to be a bad storm in the New York area during this game. That's the only thing that's concerning.
Yeah. That's how bad is it supposed to be snowing during the game?
Snow and rain. So I might play the under, but I
would consider taking the under, but that's obviously going to adjust for the weather.
I would still take the Eagles though.
I agree. I would take the Eagles too. Although fine on the road, 5 points. My gut tells me though that the Eagles should be able to win. I mean, the Giants are just not a good team and have nothing to play for.
Right.
I would never go to a game like this, by the way.
No, this is ridiculous.
I did once, maybe 6 years ago or something, to a Giants-Titans game. 5 years ago, I think. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was so cold. There were a bunch of other games on. And I was just sitting there freezing my ass off. I can't even focus on the
Giants didn't score.
Yeah, it was a horrible game. I would never go to a game like this. If I were to have season tickets, I would just sell these.
Yes, I agree.
I would sell these tickets or give them away even because
give them away. I don't know who's buying them. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't care. Texans at Colts. The Colts are getting 1.5. Who do you like?
Texans. I think
I
the Texans
agree.
are the
I like
better
the
team.
Texans. The Colts are the Colts are just not good at home
Yeah, and I just think the Texans are the better team.
right now. Yeah, I think the Texans are a better team. This is going to be a great game. Well,
It's
I
gonna
don't
be
know if
great.
it's going to be a great
This is
game.
a playoff game, by the way. This is
Right. It's essentially a
winner go in.
playoff game.
Yeah. Winners in, losers out. And the winner the winner of this game, not only could they be in the playoffs, but if Jacksonville are to slip up against Tennessee, they win the division.
Yeah.
The winner of this game. So,
Which you never know with Jacksonville.
no. Especially with Lawrence hurt. So this is a gigantic game. This is Saturday night, by the way, 8:30.
At 8:15.
Yeah.
Weird to see NFL on Saturday nights.
Odd.
Yeah, very odd. Obviously never happens till after college football is over.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why there was no Monday night game.
Yeah, this is why there's no Monday night.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into this Knicks trade a little bit. The Knicks basically got fleeced in this trade. They got OG Anunoby for they gave up Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
And a second round pick.
Yeah, for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa.
And Precious Achiuwa, who is God's gift Achiuwa's brother.
Correct.
Weird names in that family.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we got fleeced. I don't know how much you watched the last two games, but we did win the last two games. He has looked good in the last two games. My biggest problem of this was the reason the Knicks got fleeced was the inclusion of Quickly.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett, I was so for trading. RJ Barrett I'm so fine trading RJ Barrett. Quickly was the issue. He's our best sixth man. He's our best bench player. He's a great role player. He had 32 points for the Raptors the other night. That was the biggest issue. And also, I don't understand if they were willing to trade Barrett and Quickly. Now I'm going to get annoyed because this has been annoying me for a year. Why did they not trade him for Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
I don't understand because they didn't want to trade RJ Barrett accordingly to get Donovan Mitchell last year. Now, in fairness, we beat Donovan Mitchell in 5 games, and he was.
Oh, we would have been better off with Donovan Mitchell than with Barrett.
Much better with Donovan Mitchell. They still don't have a scorer. OG Anunoby's a better defender than these guys. He's good for our defense. He's a good player, certainly, but we need a scorer still.
For some reason, the Knicks have a weird sort of affection for power forwards.
Well, we need to get a bigger guy too. We have Mitchell Robinson, yeah, but we need to get Keldon Johnson, I think, from San Antonio is who I would go for. But the thing is, we need to get rid of these treasure trove of picks. And right now, they're not even a team that can win it. I'm sorry, because a lot of Knicks fans do think they're contenders. They're not a team I can see even getting out of the first round. And they're certainly in the same round. So we need a scorer. It's a good move. It's a good move if there's more to come. If this is the only move, it's not a good move.
But like losing Quickly is not nothing.
No, it's a big deal.
That's still a big deal.
There hasn't been a team ever to win the NBA championship that just has a starting 5. You need depth.
Yeah.
You need depth off the bench.
And it's not like you're getting like some amazing star player. I mean, basically, like you said, we could have gotten Donovan Mitchell, and instead we got OG Anunoby.
It's ridiculous, and it just doesn't make sense because they said, well, we don't want RJ Barrett. They didn't want to trade RJ Barrett, and that was one of the things. And now you've traded Barrett and Quickly for the guy who's not as good a scorer.
But also it's like it's not like RJ Barrett was supposed to be this great player, and they expected him to be so much better. He didn't really change all that much. No, he's exactly what he was before, and now they're willing to trade him, and they weren't willing to trade him last year.
No, and I don't know. And we have all these picks. I honestly wouldn't be mad at the inclusion of Randall in a trade for somebody as well if he's a good enough player. And so we have assets that they need to go do something. I mean, they haven't improved on last year at all. Yeah.
So that's the Knicks. They're just a mess of an organization. I don't know what Leon Rose was thinking. It's very annoying to watch.
It is.
I mean, right now we're a play-in team.
I mean, they'll make the playoffs. They will make the playoffs past the play-in. I can guarantee you that. But
But that's
They're
about
not
it.
a team that can go further than they did last year.
No, I don't think they've improved very much.
No.
Okay, so I want to get into this Jason Whitlock story. So people are clowning him because he tweeted out this thing about this birthday card ad he got on ESPN,
Yes.
on ESPN.com. I don't remember what exactly did it say.
So
It said,
he was on ESPN.com doing some NFL standings research, and he had an ad come up. So he tweeted this. He said, "I'm looking at NFL standings on ESPN.com. This ad is running above the standings. How is this possible? Appropriate?" And the ad is for a birthday card, which says, "Balls deep inside of me is a great way to spend your birthday." So nice little family birthday card. And then it also says on the side of it, 1-pack, funny happy birthday for him, husband, boyfriend, etc. Now, Jason Whitlock tweeted this thinking that he was going to get a lot of support from people saying that the ads are too sexualized, and instead doesn't realize that most of the ads are through an algorithm that you search up. So, like what you search up. So, what Jason Whitlock probably did was he went on a website, he accepted the cookies, which is not the first time that Jason Whitlock has accepted cookies. And he went on, and so this
first of all, everybody accepts cookies. I always accept the cookies.
Correct. But this is based on his search history. So then he was getting clowned, and instead of either not responding or leaning into it, he did the absolute worst thing you could do, which is to completely go back at them. He went on and on about Christianity, which was interesting. And then he posted a essay about how it was the agenda of sexualized content that was after him. And he posted a picture of another shirt that he got an ad for that says 3 words in big letters. And it says, the shirt says, "I lick the salt, swallow the tequila, and suck the lime." But the salt, the tequila, and lime are in very small letters. So popping out at you, it says, "I lick, swallow, and suck." And he added this to his essay. So his idea to go against this was to then post a shirt that said, "I lick, swallow, and suck." And then he posted a 5-minute video talking about how the agenda is after him, even though he willingly posted this ad on his Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I've been on ESPN.com a bunch of times. I've never seen an ad like that.
No, because I don't look that up on my computer.
I think that's weird. I will say I do get people. Okay, so supposedly it's based on an algorithm based on what you search these ads.
Mm-hmm.
I get ads. Okay, I'm on ESPN.com right now. I have an ad for a Jeep.
Well,
I don't know why I'm getting an ad for a Jeep. I've never searched. I mean, that does not reflect my search history at all.
But it could be something you clicked on. But it is.
I mean, look, I am not looking to buy a car. I never would have searched that.
But I had
And to be charitable to him for a second, to be completely charitable, it is certainly possible that he looked up birthday cards or something, and that particular thing happened to pop up.
It's a little bit of an out there ad. I will say I've been in, I've been Googling, I've been watching YouTube videos about workout videos. It's bulking season's almost over. It's about to be cutting season. Shout out Alan and Garris. But when I went on ESPN, I got an ad for fat loss stuff because obviously I've been looking at workout videos and stuff. So it does look at the algorithm, but it's just
I notice I get that on Facebook
when this happens. It's just very funny when these people, and the way that he responded to go at everybody. He went at Katie Nolan and stuff because she made a tweet where she didn't even name him by name, by the way. And he just went at her. That's the worst thing you could do. And he also just went on and on about Christianity. There was a guy, Benny Johnson. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a right-wing political commentator. And he had a tweet in 2017 where he was looking at the Military Times and he said, "This is the ad on the Military Times right now." And it was an ad for the world's biggest gay cruise. And he was getting clowned for that. But it was very funny. He enacted the Christian defense, which is like the Tom Brenneman when he got caught saying a word that I won't say, but he went on and was like, I'm a man of faith and stuff like that. Like
There's a home
people
run
do
from
run to religion. There we go. But people do run to that like religious defense very quickly. But it was just funny because he was just getting clowned and would just like be like, well, this is the agenda of the alphabet community. It's like, well, you actually posted this. Like,
Yeah.
by yourself.
No, it's a bizarre. I mean, it's funny. I just don't know if it's true that he necessarily searched something like that, and that's the reason it popped up. Like, I don't know if that's true. I would believe it if it was on, like, if you were scrolling through social media.
Right,
And that
right.
popped up. On ESPN.com, like I said, I'm getting this stuff. I get ads like this all the time, and they're not things that I ever searched. So I just don't know if it really is, if he really did search that.
Whenever he's trending, I'll always think of two videos. One of them, of course, was when LeVar Ball said that Jason Whitlock can't comment on anything besides snacks. That's an all-time video. And then there's another one where DJ Envy asked one of the Breakfast Club guests if Jason Whitlock hates other black people, and the guest said that Jason Whitlock hates anyone who can walk up a flight of stairs.
Right. Honestly, I think this whole like weight thing is getting a little old.
I mean, yeah, but this was just a classic like boomer on Twitter. Just not knowing.
Right now, I'm getting a sponsor for sponsored by Mercy Ships on ESPN. I don't know. I'm getting all of this stuff. All of these ads I'm getting on ESPN are on ESPN.com at least I'm getting from things that like had nothing to do with anything I searched. So I don't know how much. Like to be fair, I don't know how much this is strictly because he searched all this weird sexual stuff. I mean, certainly, by the way, it certainly is possible that he was searching like he does probably spend a lot of time on Twitter tweeting about things like this, and that algorithm may have picked up. I don't know. Like, it is a weird ad. I will defend him in this one way. That is a really weird ad to see on ESPN.com.
It's not. It's a funny ad. It's also a boomer move to watch like those kinds of videos on your computer. Like only like boomers would do that. So yeah. I could definitely see this. But yeah, just watch out for those birthday card ads.
That is. I mean, if you saw it, I mean, if I saw that, I would probably just laugh at it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would get my phone out and take a picture and then tweet it.
Maybe I would take a picture of it and send it to my friends or whoever, or even post about it. But I would probably think this is kind of a weird. I'd probably laugh at it.
He was like angry about it. Like that was the one thing he was like, "Is this appropriate?" Like,
yeah, I mean, it is a weirdly sexualized ad for.
It's very odd.
Like I don't know. Like to be fair, I will say this. I don't know how many people on ESPN.com that ad would really appeal to.
Right.
I don't think that really is ESPN's demographic. Because it's a pretty like small percentage of people that would buy a birthday card like that.
Right.
And like leave it out in public. Like how many people would buy that birthday card and leave it out like on their counter in their home? And if people like walk in, they see that thing. Like it just is a weird sort of thing to buy. Yeah. Like it is a very niche group of people that would buy that ad.
Yeah, he did get ratioed into oblivion.
It was just very funny. It's one of, I don't know, one of these weird sort of sports media stories. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Wait, so I just refreshed it. So see what ad comes up now. Jeep again.
Yeah,
Jeep Wrangler. Like that's the thing. I don't know how much this has anything to do with your search history.
It's a sign for you to get a Jeep, I guess.
Maybe it says I don't need a new car. Like it's a new 2024 Jeep. I don't know if I would ever buy a Jeep. No. Although I do kind of like the way Jeeps look when they have like I used to like the way those old Jeeps looked, where it's like it doesn't have a door. You know?
Yeah, yeah. But I know it's tricky. Well, Jeeps are good on any terrain though, so you could drive a Jeep into a snowbank and be all right.
All right. I don't think anybody knows about that. But yes, I did drive my car into a snowbank and broke my tire. I mean, to be fair, there's a good chance I would have done that on a Jeep anyway. So
Yeah,
there's a good
possible.
chance that was a very expensive snowbank
Yeah,
I mean,
those are good.
that I drove into. Yeah. So like I said, I don't. But if I look at Twitter or something, I
Yeah,
feel like the ads are a lot more relevant. Borgata, okay.
yeah.
Typico Casino. So there you go. Already
Yeah, there's a lot of betting ads.
2 casino ads. Webull. Okay, that's investing in trading stocks.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I don't know if that's too relevant. BetMGM.
Mhm.
So I'm going through. I'm just scrolling through. I scrolled through Twitter for 30 seconds. FanDuel. So I had like 5 like betting ads.
Yeah, I get a lot
That
of
is
betting.
like it is so obvious based on my Twitter feed that is based on like that is very relevant to me.
Right.
ESPN.com, I'm going on there. None of those ads are relevant to me in particular. And to be fair, the reason might be because I don't spend a lot of time on my computer.
Right, right.
I don't search things on my computer. Everything I do is on my phone. And if you want to, like, if the algorithm were to get a good sense of who I am, it would be on my phone, not on this device. Like that could be the reason why. Like I'm just saying, based on what I was seeing, the ads were not relevant to me. I just think I enjoy social media a lot because things like this are just funny.
Yeah, this is
That's all it is. It's just funny.
This is very funny.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. So we'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I got to get going. No Thursday night football today. I'm missing Thursday night football.
Nope.
All right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next week.